Hey, what's up, rock and roll lovers? Welcome to the channel. I'm Dave Meadowcroft, and I'm the album review guy. And today I'm diving into the 12 times that the Rolling Stones absolutely blew our minds. Now, whether you're a lifelong fan or just discovering the magic of Mick, Keith and the boys, I've got a list that's going to take you down memory lane and back again. Stick around to the end and I'll even drop a wild fact about one of their most famous tracks that you definitely haven't heard before. Just to clarify that this is not a ranking, it's just 12 times that the band have blew my mind, in my opinion. If you do disagree, then leave your choices in the comments. No need to stress on this one whatsoever. Now, I know, picking just 12 moments out of a career that spans, 60 decades? That's like trying to pick the least chaotic moment at a Rolling Stones party. But don't worry, I've got you covered. Let's jump right in with number 12. This one is Jumping Jack Flash. Now, this was released in 1968. It's the anthem that kicks like a mule. Now, if you've ever wondered why this song just hits different, it's all about Keith Richards' tuning of his guitar to an open G string, and boom, you've got that chunky, dirty, bluesy vibe that just won't quit. And the lyrics, oh man. Mick Jagger said he was inspired by Keith's gardener of all people named Jack, who made this clumsy appearance one rainy morning. Classic Mick turning everyday randomness into rock and roll gold. But let's be real, none of us would look that cool if we were inspired by our gardeners, right? But it's alright. I'm jumping jack flashes and gas. Now at number 11, one of my personal favourites, we've got Gimme Shelter from 1969, and I just love this track. Now, if the apocalypse ever had a soundtrack, this would be it. You've got that haunting intro, Keith's guitar like it's been drenched in echo, and then Mary Clayton's chilling backing vocals. You know, she was pregnant when she recorded this track and was called in the middle of the night and absolutely nailed those high notes, believe it or not, in one take. I mean, she hit that rape murder part so hard she had to lie down afterwards. Now imagine that. Mick and Keith asking you to sing about society collapse at 3 a.m. in the morning, and you just crush it. There is a sad side to this story. She suffered a miscarriage shortly after recording, with many thinking it was down to the exertion of her performance at the time. Some rock and roll history right there, folks. Now, at number 10, we've got Sympathy for the Devil. Now, this is the ultimate "uh-oh, we might be in trouble" song. This was released in 1968 on Beggar's Banquet, and it's got congas, samba beats, and somehow makes you feel like dancing, while Mick's singing about the darkest corners of human history. Only the Stones could make the devil sound so groovy, right? And Keith's solo in this one, forget it. It's chaotic, rough, and exactly what you'd expect if you handed Keith Richards a guitar and told him to play whatever the heck he wanted. Fun fact, they say that this one sparked the whole "are the Stones satanic" thing. Spoiler alert, no devil worship, just really good PR. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm May, Will, and Taste. At number 9, it's Paint It Black. So let's get a little dark, shall we? Released in 1966, it's got Brian Jones playing that sitar like he's in an Eastern trance. The riff, iconic, the energy relentless, and yet it's somehow a song about total despair. But hey, nobody ever accused the Stones of being predictable. Think about it. Here's a bunch of guys in London in the 60s going, yeah, let's throw a sitar on this rock track about seeing everything in black. I mean, Imagine pitching that in a modern band meeting. I don't think so. Number 8, Brown Sugar. And look, I know this one's got some, well, let's say problematic lyrics if you dig into them, but let's focus on the music, okay? From 1971, it's the ultimate get-up and dance track with that choking riff and sax solos that hit like a freight train. The Stones recorded this one in Muscle Shoals, and you can hear that gritty southern vibe all over it. Oh, and a quick story here. Jagger apparently wrote this while filming in Australia, and it originally had a completely different name. But we'll keep things PG-13 here, folks. Number 7, you can't always get what you want. Try telling my wife that. Released in 1969, and here's a track that starts with a quiet. Now, who does that? Only the Stones, right? It's part gospel, part blues, and all heartbreak. I mean, this one's been the soundtrack to breakups, farewells, and that one time you didn't get tickets to the Stones reunion tour. But that build-up, man, it gets me every time. And let's not forget Al Cooper's organ playing, adding just that little extra bit of soul to make it really unforgettable. Oh, you can't always get what you want. And number 6, Satisfaction. The riff that single-handedly defined rock and roll. Released in 1965, it's the one that Keith supposedly wrote in his sleep, recorded on a cassette and then forgot about. Like, who does that, though? The sheer swagger on this track is unmatched. It's the Stones at their most rebellious, basically inventing the concept of cool. And come on, who hasn't tried to sing that and I try in the shower, right? Don't you lie to me. You've definitely done it, I can see that. Number 5, Wild Horses from 1971, and this one's for all the ballad lovers out there. Richards wrote this one whilst reflecting on life, love, and the birth of his son. It's raw, it's gentle, and yet it's somehow got that swagger that only the Stones can pull off, as we've mentioned before. Plus, Mick's vocals are surprisingly tender here, which, let's be honest, is a rare moment of vulnerability in their catalogue. This is the one you put on after a rough day, when you're staring out of a rainy window, like today, like you're in a music video. For its Street Fighting Man from 68. And this is the Stones' answer to the turbulent times. It's got an aggressive acoustic guitar that just punches through, and you think Keith was playing through a busted amp. But nope, just the magic of recording. Jagger was inspired by the protests happening around the world. But listen to that beat. Charlie Watts hitting the drums like he's rallying troops. It's a political anthem disguised as a rock and roll banger, and it's got more energy than a mosh pit at a punk show. Plus, fun fact, most of that rhythm section was recorded with portable tape recorders. Okay, talk about do-it-yourself recording. Number 3, Angie. The Stones showing their sensitive side to the nature at last. From 73, this ballad is proof that they're not just about the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Keith wrote this during one of his "I'm trying to clean up" phases, and you can hear it in those tender guitar lines. Mick's vocals are just oozing with the heartbreak. And let's talk about that iconic piano introduction from Nicky Hopkins, or people, the unsung hero behind so many classic tracks, bringing in just the right amount of melancholy. It's the kind of song that makes you want to grab a glass of whiskey and contemplate life. Or maybe just the time your crush didn't text you back. I've had some of those. At number 2, Midnight Rambler. Now, this is the Stones at their bluesiest and grittiest. Released in '69, it's basically a horror story set to blues rock. Mick's channeling his inner storyteller, playing the part of a killer on the loose, and that harmonica he plays, man, it's just like a snake winding through the song, giving you chills the whole time. Keith's guitar licks here are like he's trying to wrestle a wild beast, raw, unfiltered, and just barely controlled. And let's not forget that tempo change about halfway through. Charlie Watts shifts gears and suddenly the whole band feels like it's careering down a dark highway. It's dark, it's dirty, and you've just got to love it. I call my band the Midnight Rambler. Everybody got to go. But now it's the time for the big one. The moment you've all been waiting for in this video. Drum roll, please. Have you guessed it yet? So at number 1, it's Honky Tonk Woman, that all-time classic. Let's cue the cowbell, folks. Released in '69, this track is everything the Stones are about. That swagger again, groove and that raw edge. I mean, you've got Charlie Watts holding down that rhythm like only he can, while Mick sings about barroom encounters. It's a perfect mix of blues, rock, and a hint of a country twang to it as well. My God, I hate country. And here's the kicker. Mick and Keith wrote it while goofing around in Brazil. That's right, it's a song born out of basically boredom. And here we are 50 years later, still singing it at the top of our lungs. So there you have it. 12 times the Rolling Stones blew our minds, in my opinion. Now let me know in the comments below if I missed your favourite, or if you'd swap any of these ones out. I'd be very keen to hear what you've got to say on the matter. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe option to keep rocking with me here, the Album Review Galley. So until next time, this is Dave Meadowcroft signing off. Keep that music spinning.